Hey Sophia, Dad's been so bad lately. Let's get back at him. The words slipped out in the heat of the moment. But my daughter was resolute. Yeah, let's do it. I can't forgive him for throwing away the cake I worked so hard to make for him. I don't like Dad anymore. She agreed with me without hesitation. We discussed our plan and decided to simulate a revenge on my husband. My name is Amelia. I'm a 38-year-old cashier at a supermarket. I live with my 40-year-old husband and our 12-year-old daughter Sophia. My husband, Alexander, works for a small to mid-sized company, and our daughter Sophia goes to elementary school and is our pride and joy, a bright child. Alexander and I married 12 years ago. We met at a friend's wedding and hit it off. After a year of dating, we married. But honestly, I regret getting married. Maybe it was too hasty to marry after just a year of dating. Because I didn't realize Alexander was prone to infidelity. His actions were always in a gray area, even though he was a cheater. After I got pregnant, I discovered he had many women's contacts. When confronted, he dodged the issue, claiming they were all work-related. I couldn't probe further if it was work, and I wanted to trust him. But as our marriage went on, Alexander's actions gradually became more brazen. One night, Sophia and I were waiting for Alexander to come home. It was past his usual time. Worried, I called him. "Where are you now?" "Ah, sorry. Forgot to tell you I'm out drinking tonight." "What? You're kidding." Alexander spoke as if his behavior was perfectly normal, but to me, it was unbelievable. Moreover, I could hear several women's voices over the phone. "Are you at a club?" I blurted out without thinking. Upon hearing my question, Alexander fell silent for a moment, but then he quickly retorted, "No, that's not it. I'm out with everyone from work. Stop nagging me all the time." His words were slurred, clearly indicating he was drunk. Realizing the futility of continuing the conversation, I hung up without saying another word. "Mama?" Sophia asked, looking worried. "Daddy's working late. Let's eat without him." I couldn't possibly tell Sophia about her father's behavior. The need to fabricate stories to cover for him was incredibly frustrating. We reheated the cold meal, and Sophia and I ate together. Alexander's foolishness, from my perspective, didn't end there. One day, on a holiday, "Let's go to the park." It was a rare day when all three of us were together, and Sophia asked Alexander to go to the park. But even to Sophia, Alexander responded coldly, Leave me alone. I'm busy right now." "But you said that last time." "That was then. If you want to go so badly, go with your mom." "Hey, there's no need to be like that." Sophia's face fell, and unable to stand it any longer, I confronted Alexander. But just then his phone rang. "Move over there," he said dismissively, answering the call. Hey, Evelyn. Good to hear you're doing well." "Really? I would love to hear your daughter's voice." As the conversation went on, Alexander's face softened, and his voice became gentler. Alexander had an expression on his face that he never showed us. I felt a tightening in my chest, a mix of irritation and frustration. As soon as Alexander finished the call, I immediately asked him, "Who was that? You seemed quite friendly with this Evelyn person." Alexander looked down on me as if he was superior and replied, "Who? Oh, she's just a former junior colleague. She left to get married and now has a kid, apparently 5 years old. She sounds so cute. Must take after her mom." His face beamed with happiness as he said this. Seeing that expression, my anger erupted. "What do you mean, junior colleague? And why are you so affectionate towards someone else's child, while ignoring your own daughter, Sophia. Isn't that strange? Alexander retorted angrily, "What's your problem? Who I hang out with or talk to is my business. Don't try to control me." Sophia, witnessing this, looked frightened in the corner. Not wanting to upset her further, I apologized. "Never mind. I'm sorry." Alexander just snorted and left the living room. Thus, our family day off ended in the worst possible way. From that day on, the frequency of conversations between Alexander and me decreased drastically. It was Sophia who reminded me about Alexander again. "Mama, it's Papa's birthday tomorrow." "Oh, right, I completely forgot." Sophia's words finally made me think about Alexander again. "I want to make a cake for Papa. Can you teach me how?" I looked at Sophia and thought, what a kind-hearted child she is. Since that day, Sophia hasn't played with Alexander even once. I feel like I haven't seen them talking much either. Yet, she wanted to make a cake for him. That was so different from me, who had recently been thinking about divorce. "Okay, let's go buy the ingredients then." Sophia nodded happily at my response. We went to our regular supermarket and started shopping. While waiting in line, I glanced outside and saw a man who looked like Alexander getting into the driver's seat of a car. "Is that Alexander?" I stared intently at the man. And indeed, it was Alexander without a doubt. A woman approached and got into the passenger seat of his car. Then, unbelievably, the two leaned close together and remained still for a moment. Just then, Sophia yelled, Mama, the eggs! I dropped them!" Unable to hide my shock, I stared at the ground and apologized. Sorry, honey." As Sophia looked at me worriedly, the word divorce echoed in my mind. When we got home, I knew I had to switch gears mentally. Sophia was unaware of what happened during the shopping trip. She had been looking forward to making the cake the entire time. I reminded myself to stay calm, and together with Sophia, we finished making the cake. Then came the next day. It was Alexander's birthday. Coincidentally, both Alexander and I were off work that day. When Alexander finally got up around noon, Sophia immediately said, "Happy birthday, Papa!" Alexander seemed disoriented, perhaps still groggy from waking up. But without waiting for a response from Alexander, Sophia continued, "We made a cake, Papa! Eat some!" As she spoke, Sophia grabbed Alexander's sleeve. It seemed she was eager to take him to the living room quickly. Her innocent smile made me feel guilty about considering divorce. However, Alexander didn't budge. Then he said something shocking. "What? No way. It's disgusting. Just throw it away." The words hit me like a bolt of lightning, and Sophia stood frozen in shock. Alexander continued, "That cake, right? The one under the bowl in the fridge. I peeked at it yesterday, wondering what it was. That messy decoration, disgusting. Of course, I can't eat that. Sophia, you understand, right? Such a dirty thing should never be served to anyone." "Understood," Sophia muttered weakly. Meanwhile, Alexander kept hurling hurtful words at us, standing there in shock. The atmosphere in our home felt as different as summer and winter. And then he added, "I'm going on a trip today with Evelyn." I was overwhelmed by another wave of shock, unable to comprehend his words. "What? Wait a minute, what do you mean? It's all just too much." I didn't know where to start. I was overwhelmed by Alexander's selfishness and his disregard for others' feelings. Yesterday's call, remember? The junior I talked to. We decided to meet up after a long time, and I'm going to Seattle for a week, starting today. Alexander announced this unilaterally and disappeared into the bathroom. Then a bit later, he emerged, his hair neatly styled. He never bothers to style his hair when he's with us, but today he seemed unusually eager. An hour later, Alexander left without saying a word, dragging his carry-on bag behind him. Left behind, I found myself saying emotionlessly, "Hey, Sophia, we should get back at Papa, right?" After a pause, realizing what I'd said, I thought, what am I doing? But Sophia replied, "Yes, we should. I can't forgive him for telling us to throw away the cake we made. I hate Papa now. I wish he'd disappear." Tears welled up in her eyes, but there was also a determined look in them. It seemed Sophia truly hated Alexander now. He had treated us so poorly that even our 12-year-old daughter wished he would disappear. Sophia and I then started planning our revenge. We rehearsed several times. Why don't we show this to the whole world? The whole world? Sophia asked, puzzled, and I explained. We decided to live stream our act of revenge against Alexander. Everything was ready. All that was left was for Alexander to return. On the day of Alexander's return, Sophia and I stood by as planned and started recording the video. There were 2 viewers at first. Then as the front door opened, Alexander came home. At the same time, I shouted Sophia's name loud enough for Alexander to hear. "Sophia! Sophia! Stay with me! Please, open your eyes!" I called out to Sophia with a sense of urgency in my voice. Then I heard 2 sets of footsteps hurrying towards us. 2? Just as I thought this, the door to Sophia's room burst open. "Amelia, what are you screaming about? Wait, Sophia's bleeding from her mouth. I've been calling her, but she's not responding." "Don't mess with me. You're her mother. Do something. Sophia! Sophia, wake up!" Alexander shook Sophia's body slightly. "Come on, this isn't real. She's pale. How could you leave her like this until now?" "But I just noticed. And who was that woman standing there?" I asked, shifting my gaze to the woman who had walked in as if it were normal, along with Alexander. But Alexander didn't give me a straight answer. "That doesn't matter right now." It was unclear whether Alexander was trying to sidestep the issue, or was genuinely panicked about Sophia's condition. But I couldn't back down now. A quick glance at the screen revealed that the number of viewers had suddenly surpassed 20,000. At least 20,000 people around the world were watching this intense situation unfold with bated breath. "It does matter. Who is that woman?" I asked with tense urgency, causing the woman to timidly introduce herself. I'm Evelyn. I had a fight with my husband, Ethan, and Alexander said I could stay at his house." I couldn't believe it. Alexander had brazenly gone on a romantic trip and even brought his mistress back to his own wife's home. "That's enough. This conversation ends here. We need to take Sophia to the hospital," Alexander declared. But I had reached my limit sooner than expected. The plan was to act a bit longer, but Evelyn's arrival changed things. I coldly addressed Alexander, who was trying to touch Sophia. "Only now you decide to play the father?" "What?" Alexander furrowed his brows as he spoke. It was clear that he was annoyed by my words, but I didn't falter. "Sophia, it's over. You can get up now." At my cue, Sophia suddenly sat up. Both Alexander and Evelyn looked shocked at her sudden movement. "What the hell is this?" Alexander demanded angrily. "It's all makeup. The blood is fake. Sophia, could you go to the other room for a bit? I'll handle the rest." With that, I sent Sophia out of the room. What followed was a full-blown confrontation. I didn't want Sophia to witness any more of this intense drama. As she left, Sophia didn't say anything, but gave Alexander a sharp glance. With Sophia gone, I didn't answer Alexander's question, but instead turned it back on him. What about you, Alexander? That woman is your mistress, isn't she? Was it because he could no longer hide the truth after being confronted with such a direct question? Or had he simply grown tired of keeping up the pretense? It was unclear which, but Alexander responded in an indifferent tone. So what if it is? His response was almost an admission of his infidelity, and I was stunned by his brazen attitude. However, this certainly didn't mean I was going to forgive him. Let's get a divorce. As I said this, Alexander replied with defiance. I was thinking the same, but since you brought it up first, don't expect any alimony in the divorce court. My anger finally reached its breaking point. That's not how it works, Alexander. You do realize you cheated, right? I told you before not to question my actions. What I do is none of your business. And you think you can say the same to these viewers? I pointed to the mobile phone still recording. The phone's front camera was on, showing us on the screen. The viewer count had astonishingly risen to over 200,000. What is this? What did you do? I thought I'd show everyone the real Alexander by streaming this live. But then something totally unexpected happened, and both I and the viewers were in a panic. I never expected you to brazenly bring your mistress here. The first to react to my explanation was the mistress. She looked shocked as she glanced at the screen. What? What's this title? A chaotic reveal? Using cosplay makeup to expose my husband's true nature with my daughter? Wait, does that mean I'm being shown right now? Evelyn's face turned pale. It seems she grasped the situation faster than Alexander. Exactly. I had no intention of showing Evelyn. She brought this on herself by coming uninvited. Ah! What have you done? Alexander was starting to panic. He seemed to be slowly realizing the gravity of the situation. Alexander, the comments are going wild. From what I can see, they're all criticizing you and Evelyn. Do you have anything to say that could justify your actions now? Wait, this can't be true. The comments just won't stop. Of course they won't. It's a live stream. I've also explained everything that happened in the description and in a previous video. Everyone knows about you forcing Sophia to throw away the cake she made, calling it dirty. You are the absolute worst. Alexander was in a complete panic. Sweat was pouring from his forehead, and he was holding his head muttering, "What do I do?" Evelyn looked like she was about to cry, shaking on her knees. As I was about to continue, Evelyn's phone rang. Evelyn looked at the notification screen, visibly frightened. It appeared to be a message from her husband, Ethan. Please, put it on speaker. She obediently followed my instruction without any resistance. As soon as she answered, a furious voice was heard. Evelyn, I saw the video. You were cheating on me. Viewers? Startled by the man's voice, Evelyn was completely shaken, crying and repeatedly apologizing. By this point, the number of live viewers had exceeded 500,000 people. My friend saw you in the parking lot with some guy and told me. I didn't want to believe it. Evelyn, I will never forgive you. The man was livid with anger. I, taking over for the speechless Evelyn, spoke into the mobile phone. I'm the wife who was cheated on by her husband with Evelyn. If it's okay with you, Ethan, please come here later. At my words, Alexander clung to me, pleading, Stop, please stop. His behavior seemed pathetic to me. I was glad I had Sophia leave early. Alexander's despicable actions are currently being watched by 500,000 people worldwide. I never expected it to blow up like this. Maybe some of his colleagues are even watching. When I said that, Alexander completely cowered and began to deeply apologize. I'm sorry, I was wrong. Please forgive me. I'll do anything. Just stop this. But of course, this scene was also captured on video. The comment section was quickly updated with words condemning both of them. So, you'll pay the compensation in the divorce court, right? Yes, I'll pay. Just please stop the video. Alexander begged, on the verge of tears. It seemed to have hit him hard. Gone was his usual assertive demeanor. I thought there was no need to continue and stop the live stream. The final viewer count was 530,000. After ending the video, I turned my attention to Evelyn. And I'll be claiming compensation from Evelyn in the divorce court as well. Evelyn simply nodded silently in response. The phone call concluded with Ethan agreeing to come to our house the next day. To the two of them, still in a daze, I said, "Your flippant attitude destroyed our family. Sophia utterly despises you. Please don't involve yourself with us ever again." Alexander, looking as if his soul had left his body, could only say, "I'm sorry." Later on, Ethan came to our house, and Alexander was severely reprimanded again. Evelyn's husband decided to claim compensation from Alexander in their divorce. Thus, both Alexander and Evelyn faced compensation claims in their respective divorces. Since Alexander had a habit of wasting money, I had been managing our finances. It was clear that his financial future would be burdened with debt. The next day, we both signed the papers and finalized our divorce. We planned to discuss further with lawyers, and of course, I intended to have him pay child support. I got custody of Sophia, and we moved to my parents' house. At first, I was anxious, but now Sophia and my parents seem to be enjoying their time together. Looking back, since catching Alexander cheating, it had been a whirlwind of events. The most regrettable part was involving Sophia. Alexander had called the cake she made for him disgusting. From the start, he never deserved to be called dad. I blamed myself for making Sophia go through such a terrible experience. At the same time, I vowed not to let any more unhappiness come to Sophia. Today is my dad's birthday. Seeing Dad happily eating the cake Sophia made, I felt incredibly happy. I decided to dedicate my future to my dear Sophia. That was my firm resolution.